Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and there's some more drama over the reserve list. Huge bombshell today about where Wizards is gonna go for the next couple years, I guess. We're not reading too much into this. Mark said it pretty directly, so if you haven't seen the quote, this is gonna blow your mind, but I guess I should set it up in case you haven't been following it. The reserve list was made in the very early years of the game, early 90s. Basically, it was a knee-jerk overreaction to people saying, hey, you keep reprinting this, and it keeps going up in value, then I buy it, then it goes down, and I'm sad. I want this thing I own to turn into a free investment or free money instead of a game that people actually play. And they're like, oh, you've got a point there. Biggest mistake they ever made in the history of the company and completely against Richard Garfield's philosophy, which was affordability and approachability to the game from anybody at any budget level over, some douche investors making money on buying and selling stuff like parasites. Not a direct quote, but I think we all know what he meant. So the exact definition of the reserve list that they, I guess, clarified later, gave them such a ridiculous out, I can't help but think they did it on purpose. They cannot print a functionally identical version of the card. That's what they've settled on now. We're talking not same name or art, obviously, but same exact cost and subtype. Among other things, same color and all that, but you get the idea. And then the spirit of the reserve list, but not the legal written word of it, is, well, obviously we're not going to print a card that's better either. Because like the whole point of it was value, maintaining value. So if we just turn around and say, guys, we're not going to reprint this, and then you reprint a drastically superior version of it, well, you're still going to devalue the cards and people would still be mad. So the intention and the spirit of the reserve list are one thing, and the legalese of like what they have stated publicly on multiple occasions, what they can and cannot do, are two different things. So have they violated? Absolutely not. But have they fully used the loophole to print better cards and make money? Absolutely they have. And that's almost as alarming. Because we all knew that eventually this reserve list doomsday was coming. And now it's here. So the little preview of this we had was a Fork. This card is unfortunately on the reserve list. Another one that never should have been put there, among others. It's a red instant. You pay 2. It says interrupt, but I'm going to read the updated version of the card. The updated Oracle text is, copy target instant or sorcery spell except the copy is red. You may choose new targets for the copy. Simple, but then in M13 and possibly earlier, we got Reverberate. 2 cost red instant, copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So all they're missing is change the copy to be red, which, is this better or worse? Would you prefer it to be red or not? It's practically a toss-up. And no need debating that. Mark Rosewater said in the statement I'm about to show that he thinks that he made a statement on August 22nd, 2018, saying something to the effect of like, it was too close and that was the problem. It was too close to being identical. Whether it's better or worse, it's too close. And obviously 99% of cases, you're not going to give a crap if the cloned spell is red or not. Unless they have protection from red or some interaction with red spells that doesn't involve on cast because cloning on the stack is not casting. I mean, I guess like if you have something that says double the damage of red sources, it's a red source. Okay. So Reverberate is a little bit weaker, but people kind of, got up in arms over it at the time. And years later, he made a statement on his blog, post number 173, whatever. This guy referenced it when I asked him about it. And in fact, I'll just bring that up. He says, hi, considering what you posted on the Fork Reverberate issue, and then the info, how did Rock of Kara Ridges / Moonveil Regent happen? Which, let me pull those up. We've got on the reserve list, this rock, which is a 4-cost single red, I guess summon creature rock subtype spell if you were to update it. Flying, otherwise that's it, 3/3. Wow, good thing they weren't picky about putting things on the reserve list that they would later come to regret. But like Skyfire Kirin from one of those Kamigawa sets, it's legendary, so you can't have 2 in play, already weaker. 2 red to cast it instead of, 3 generic and 1 red, so it's already, weaker. But otherwise it's a 3/3 flyer with only a positive effect, so that's fine, this card's weaker. Rekindling Phoenix, literally a 4/3 flyer that revives itself. For 4 mana, but it's fine, guys, it's fine. It's double red, so it's way harder to get into play. Now, according to one of the things on the reserve list, one of the details is it just has to be a different subtype. They literally could have printed Rock of Kara Ridges and just made it a Phoenix, period. And that's it. All it says is it can't be identical. But they've never violated the exact specific wording of the reserve list, which is functionally identical, same everything, same cost, same color, same subtype. But with the sparing of Reverberate, they've also, as far as I know, never violated the spirit of the reserve list in over 20 years, except for Moonveil Regent. This is a single red 4 cost Dragon with flying, 4/4, and then positive effect and positive effect. Or I guess arguably optional effect and then positive effect. This is unequivocally a better card for the same mana. Now you can have a 6 cost Dragon that's a better card, but it costs 6. So, that's just how that works. But this is the same exact cost. It's bigger, better, it's flying, it's identical, but it's better. It's literally identical in every way except for the ways that it is superior. I guess that's the best way to put it. So people are not happy about that. And a lot of people dismissed it as, a big nothing burger. No, this is far from that. This is like affecting a bunch of skittish, dumbass MTG finance investors who are usually somewhere between clueless and completely out of touch. These are the type of day trader wannabe, like Rudy from Alpha Investment wannabe morons who are like, I read a headline that says it's raining in China today. I'm going to sell everything related to China. I'm so smart. Yet that's the level of intelligence and research that these people are willing to do between matches of Halo Infinite while they pretend they have a real job. I don't like the MTG finance community, in case you haven't noticed. Nobody does, in case you haven't noticed. They don't even like each other. Anyway, back to what the question on Mark Rosewater's blog was. Okay, so the question was, hi, considering what you posted about Fork and Reverberate, how did Rock of Courageous / Moonveil Regent happen? I know it's not identical, but it's strictly better. And then he explains why. So in the spirit of the reserve list, which Mark has used that term 10 times at least, that should have been caught prior to releasing Moonveil Regent, right? Cheers. So he just wants clarification on what happened here. Okay, we get it. It's not a reserve list violation. The sky isn't falling, but try telling that to a bunch of people who tied up 10 grand of their grandmother's money in, MTG cards and will sell them because a jump scare in the new FNAF game just scared them too much. To call these people more skittish than a chipmunk would be an understatement. They're clueless, overreacting drama queens who are overextended into something that just should not even be more than 10% of your portfolio. Oh, I hate them all so much. So much. And yeah, I hate Wall Street hedge fund douchebags too. I hate actually most rich people. But anyway, what are these menaces to society and parasites that are just middlemen driving up the cost of singles and doing buyouts and doing shady manipulative crap that would get them in jail if it was a secured asset, aka the MTG finance community? What are they up to this time? Well, with all the irresponsible, exaggerating YouTubers who just go, the sky is falling, the reserve list is about to be canceled, Wizards doesn't care about it anymore, clickbait headline, which is why I'm probably going to put a clickbait title on this video, because 1, the title's accurate, you're going to find that out, and 2, I want those people to come in and hear the truth. So look at how many views this gets and tell me that I didn't attract the right people to this video so that they can hear what's actually going on. All the arguments, all the details of both sides, the full history, all that stuff. Come on. In fact, leave a like if you think it's useful. And actually, you can't leave a dislike because YouTube now considers that an act of war and will refer you to the UN Council on War Crimes if you do leave a down doot instead of an up doot. So go doot yourself if you don't like it. I hate it. I can't wait for him to roll that back. Anyway, Mark's response. Here we go. I know I've kept you in suspense too long. The reserve list doesn't mean we can't make better cards than on the reserve list. I'm pretty sure Mark, he asked about the spirit of the reserve list, not the exact wording of it. We're all familiar with the wording. The Fork Reverberate issue, is what he should have said, was about, oh my God, Mark, making an almost identical card. So it wasn't about better or worse, it was about too close. And I think he actually said that in the original post. It's about just getting too close. And then he mentioned, I think directly in that post, the spirit of the reserve list, which is also don't print anything better. So what he's saying, if you read between the lines, is, well, now we're willing to violate the spirit of the reserve list to print power cards and correct some cards that shouldn't have been on the reserve list in the first place. While still standing by the fact that he refers to Reverberate as a mistake. It should not have happened. I think he said that 3 times. So there's no maybes there. No, he said that. So Mark likes to hint at stuff. He likes to give half-truths. I mean, he just trolls people and thinks it's funny when it comes to the set previews, but he also really likes to leak, I wouldn't really call it corporate secrets, but you know what I mean? Stuff he's not supposed to talk about. He'll come right up to it or hint at it or just kind of, oopsies, I said too much, which I can respect that even though I hate him. So they're asking, okay, you said what you said about Fork Reverberate. How did Moonveil Regent happen? Because of the spirit of the reserve list, shouldn't it have been caught? And Mark's answer was, the reserve list, the exact wording, doesn't say we can't print cards that are better, and then doesn't address the spirit of the reserve list at all. What does that tell you? And then to clarify, he goes on to say, Fork and Reverberate wasn't about better or worse, it's about identical. It was too identical. Those 2 statements scream, we are now willing to print cards better than are on the reserve list. I don't know how you can come up with any other interpretation than that, and that's the key. Look at the Battle Bond dual lands that only work in Commander. Look at Jeweled Lotus, which is a Black Lotus that only works in Commander, which is currently sitting at $120. I wonder if they consider that a successful experiment. That card drove the whole damn set. They sold probably a couple $1 million worth of additional boxes because of Jeweled Lotus. Do you think they're not going to do it again? Wizards has been doing such greedy stuff lately that now they're flirting with, let's try doing a little Moonveil Regent, see if anybody notices and see if they like protest and throw a big fit, which really nobody does because everybody wants the reserve list gone except for the people holding the reserve list cards. But if I was an MTG Finance douchebag buying up, $10,000 worth of cards and all that stuff, not just as a hobby or an investment or something like that, or because they like them, or you're justifying your purchase of the cards because you want to collect them as calling it an investment. No, I'm talking like hardcore, I bought these up because money, I'm an MTG Finance parasite douche. Those people. Put yourself in their shoes. What's the first thing you're going to do when they say, hey, we're now willing to and going to at a more rapid pace print cards that are better than cards on the reserve list? Because we're trying everything we can, especially in the last 2 years, to sell more sets and to market cards to Commander players. Well, you go find every single card that you own that's on the reserve list that's actually playable in Vintage, Legacy, and Commander, and you sell it. Which is going to cause a price crash because the actual demand for those cards isn't that big. And it's not just about demand, it's about what's the supply. Well, they haven't been reprinted in over 20 years, so the supply is 0. So when people are like, I'm going to offload 50 of these. Now the supply, I wouldn't really call it that because it's not new ones, but okay, the market, there's some term for it. The availability, it's not liquidity, like I said, there's a term for it. But like the supply end of the supply demand curve has just gone up because more of them have gone up for sale. Now what does that do to the price, which is only, let's say, $5 or $10 for like an obscure tribal, I almost said elf. God, if it's a reserveless elf and it's played in Commander, it's over $100. An ooze, if for the 5 people on the planet running an ooze tribal deck in Commander, and they need this $4 ooze from a reserve list, and you're like, oh, I bought it because it's a reserve list card that isn't 10 cents, you're going to offload those because now you're like, oh, wait, Wizards might print a better ooze. Now, it's not like you can't run both in your Commander deck. I mean, why wouldn't you? In fact, the demand would be almost up because, well, I can get more of the good one, but then the second rate one that I still want for my deck, well, that's still on the reserve list, but now I want to actually buy the deck. A similar thing happened with Tarmogoyf. After they reprinted it, the price went up. But, I mean, if we're talking Vintage and Legacy, where you can only have 4 of something, if you want to bump off one card for another one, and that card is, a reserve list card, and the better one is something from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, well, then we've got a problem, don't we? So a lot of the MTG Finance people, like they said, they're really skittish and they like to react quickly to headlines because it makes them feel smart and makes them feel like they're pretending to know what they're doing, which they commonly don't. So if they start a sell-off, no matter what Wizards actually does in the next 5 years, it'll make it come true. Just like if I said, there's a shortage on Parmesan cheese. I heard about it from a respectable source. If enough of you believe me, guess what there's going to be? A shortage on Parmesan cheese. Because y'all will go out and buy it, because I'd rather be dead than live without Parmesan cheese, and I'm sure you're in a similar boat to me. Unless you're so dead inside that not even Parmesan cheese can lift your sad emo spirit. Let me remind you, if that sounds stupid, that entire wars have been fought over black pepper, something I couldn't give less of a shit about if I tried. So it doesn't matter what's really happening, it matters what all these people in control of the card supplies and who are making buy and sell choices every day, what they think. Not what reality is, not what Wizards is intending to do, but what they think. Now, if I was a betting man and somebody said, $100 right now, will Wizards continue to print 1, 2, or 3, we'll say, different cards that are superior to cards on the reserve list in the next year? I'd say probably yes. Not absolutely yes, but probably yes. Yes, I think we will see 1, 2, or 3. I'd probably put my money on 3. I mean, they made Battle Bond Commander dual lands, for God's sake. They've effectively reprinted dual lands, and then the Jeweled Lotus is just a Black Lotus. Oh, but they're weaker, guys. They're a little bit weaker because they're format specific. But in the format they're in, they're literally the same card. Like, are you kidding me? I guess it's not that cut and dry, but like, Moonveil Regent is. So anybody saying, oh my God, come read my tweet, come read my Reddit post, come see my video on YouTube where I say that they're going to print Power 9 but better. No, I don't think that's the first place they'll go. They would lose respect from people who don't even know about the situation if they did that. And people would just be like, greedy assholes, and leave the game forever. Because enough people are doing it for lesser reasons than that. Trust me, I've talked to them. But if they just take a couple little reserve list cards and they're like, yeah, we could do a little better than that, not just some vanilla flying piece of crap that nobody cares about, but like starting to dabble with stuff people do care about, but little fringe edge stuff, you know? And yeah, I really do think that's where they're going to go, because it's not like the entire community is just pitchforks and torches. It's just, oh, people are hearing about this and they're like, well, that's interesting, but I don't care because get rid of the reserve list. That's the majority of people's opinions, because the majority of people aren't MTG Finance douchebags or millionaires holding a bunch of these cards hostage for the community to, you know, maybe beg them nicely to sell it. The other 99% just want to play the damn game and they can't afford these stupid cards and they want the reserve list gone. I mean, if they announced reserve list masters, you'd get some very loud, powerful people would be throwing fits online, while the other, 99.99% of people would be saying, yeah, okay, I even own one of these, but who cares? I want to buy the rest. You can devalue my card, but that's fine. At least I can afford to buy the other 10 I want. Like, if they literally just came out and said, we're doing reserve list masters, where the entire master set is us just reprinting the reserve list. So the last thing I want to address is a comment that I know people are already going to leave because I saw it on my last couple videos. But Des, it's been over 20 years. What changed? This is just alarmist. It was a mistake and it means nothing. What changed? Let me answer that. One, the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, and he's a greedy asshole from what I've heard. He's behind all this anti-consumer crap that's ruining the game. And two, Wizards has taken actions, not taken actions. They've made public statements over and over and over and over and over, going back, I think at least until like 2006, I think I saw, where they say, we are not going to print something better. We have no intention to do this. This is our strategy. Just big public statements and whole articles and editorials and stuff where they say, like, no, everybody calm down. We're going to continue to stick to it, both in principle and in the exact wording and in spirit. And they were threatened with a lawsuit over Fork and Reverberate, from what I heard. Which is hilarious, because they'd be like, what's this extra sentence in the middle? Yeah, case dismissed. This is not the same card. Piss off. Or if it's a jury trial, they'd be like, I have better things to do with my life. Can we just dismiss this? But when people, are multimillionaires and they've got like $1 million or a fraction of their portfolio tied up in reserve list cards, not just Power 9, but like, other ones, they can hire a lot of lawyers and make your life very, very bad, which is why Wizards, that's like the sole reasons that Wizards so far has said, no, we're going to stick to it. We're not going to print something identical or better. That's why Mark himself has said, even up to 2018, in spirit, we're not going to do this. The spirit of the reserve list, we don't do this. We're not in the business of violating the spirit of the reserve list. I still believe in the spirit of the reserve list. I mean, I could throw all the screenshots up, but you've seen them. You've seen them in other people's videos. So all that ended, and then when they blatantly reprint something better for the first time ever, if I'm not mistaken, Moonveil Regent, Mark Rosewater's reply is, here's 2 statements on the exact legalese of it. The end. End of statement. When asked directly about the spirit of the reserve list, he replies with, here's the exact definition of the reserve list. And everybody's just like, and? Like, is the end of the post cut off? You didn't address the question. Yeah, no statements about the spirit of the reserve list, which is as telling as anything could possibly be. No, nobody's exaggerating about that post. No, nobody's reading too much into it. If you think that, then you just don't know enough about things. So panic, oh my god, I own like 8 cards on the reserve list. I bought them because I thought it was funny, and I think they're worth 35 cents. So obviously, if those go down in price, I will be financially ruined, but only because I already am. Unrelated to Magic. So that's all there is to it. That's the full story, and I think in the next couple sets in 2022, we're going to see some cards that are strictly better than cards on the reserve list, because Mark basically, without saying it, has said that that's their new policy. It's was something by omission or whatever. There's some term for it, but yeah, that's what's going on. So until we get a new statement from him, or until we get a new card better, I don't think I'm going to talk about this, because I don't care, because I care about Standard the most, which is why I'm kind of pissed about the company in the game right now, because they've been really shitting on Standard pretty hard, and now Alchemy is just a disaster that everybody hates. So I ain't in a good mood over Magic right now, and you shouldn't be either. A lot of people who know what's going on do not like the state of things, and people who just joined 3 years ago are like, what do you mean things used to be better? It's fine. Well, no offense, but you don't know any better. So that's all there is to say about this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.